Hey everybody, Shabbat Shalom. I just wanted to go over something, kind of continuing in the study we did last night. Here we are in the Testament of Solomon, and we're reading about the serpent that beguiled Eve. We covered these in videos last night. I will link them below if anyone feels like catching up. And continuing reading on the contents in the Testament of Solomon, I literally just sat down and continued reading from there, and I was taken back. Now that we fully understand the context of this stuff, we could see the prophetic implications of the remaining context of this portion of the text. And so I have to say that I don't understand all the demons and all this kind of stuff, and the angels and gods and all this kind of stuff. So most of us don't understand these things. So when we're reading the Testament of Solomon, it sounds like, all right, this could be anything. But apparently, we understand the context of the serpent that beguiled Eve. We covered it last night. And when we read the remaining context of how this pertains to the temple of God, it absolutely makes sense. So, therefore, we have to probably consider taking the rest of the text prophetically and seriously. So anyway, so here we go. The serpent that beguiled Eve is telling King Solomon all the lewdness. We went over this, how he actually raped Eve in her glorified nature, but it didn't really happen. All this kind of stuff. We covered this last night. Now, so Solomon asked the demon, "What angel frustrates you?" This is common in the Testament of Solomon. I guess every single demon has an angel assigned to it that is its enemy or casts it out or whatever. Here we go. So this is what the demon says, or the serpent that beguiled Eve says. He answered, "By the great angel which has its seat in the second sky," that's the second heaven, which is called in Hebrew Bezazeth. Now I kind of did a quick Google search. I really couldn't find anything on this. So let's continue reading. "I, Solomon, having heard this and having invoked his angel, condemned him to carve marble." Okay, wait. I'm so sorry. We had to backtrack here. Let's start here. Here we go. I'm sorry. I apologize. "As the demon said this, I saw the spirit going out from his mouth, and it consumed the wood of the frankincense tree and burned up all the logs which we have placed in the temple of God." Okay, this is not some fairy tale story. This is actually prophetic. Because when the enemy rapes your wife, molests your wife, impregnates your wife through rape, or your daughter, or your family, or whatever the case may be, as we covered this, this is literally taking away the logs that build the temple. Now, the tree from the logs could be, that wood could be like the cross, right? Because we already heard that he rapes those who know the name of the tree of the cross, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so he burns up all the logs which they have placed in the temple of God, and their frankincense, and the logs are a frankincense tree. Okay, now I'm sharing this because I personally have frankincense that I burn in my house sometimes, in this apartment sometimes, when I just want to chill with God, because it's really cool. Because this frankincense was from Adam in real life burned frankincense, and frankincense, it smells to us. It smells like the Catholic Church, but this is like biblical, real stuff. Frankincense really comes from tree bark, and I only know this because Yah showed me one day I was kind of crying out to him, like, I could do much better works to extend your kingdom, but the enemy hinders me and all this. And he pointed to my frankincense altar. He says, that is a sweet smelling aroma to me. And, because what dies, what gets crucified, gets resurrected. So he'll bless us later, I assume. So if we put all those implications together, we could really see where we're going. As the demon said this, I saw the spirit come out from his mouth, and it consumed the wood of the frankincense tree and burned up all the logs which had placed in the temple of God, because that's exactly what he does. It's a sweet smelling aroma to God when we lay our families down and our wives down at the altar, as prophesied in the Bibles, in Ephesians, and specifically in Malachi 2. Right? That is like a frankincense aroma. Frankincense is meant for funerals. It's meant for it's a sweet smelling aroma of mourning, but it's a sweet smelling aroma to God, because it's something that we sacrifice for him that he will bless later. And this consumes the logs which we have placed in the temple of God. The temple of God is what? Our bodies. So very interesting to consider that. Now let's continue reading, and we see even more prophetic implications of what Malachi 2 could really mean to God, and what maybe this reward will be to those who have to give up their families and their wives and all that stuff to the treacheries of the enemy. I, Solomon, saw what the Spirit had done, and I marveled and praised God. I asked the dragon-shaped demon, tell me, what angel are you frustrated? Okay, we covered. So let's continue reading. Check this out. He answered, by the great Spirit which has a seat in the second sky, which is called in the Hebrew Bazazes. Okay, we're not going there. So here's what I want to cover. I, Solomon, heard this, and having invoked this angel, condemned him to carve marble for the building of the temple of God. And I praised God and commanded another demon to come before me. So Solomon condemns the serpent that beguiled Eve. Okay? This is the common theme throughout the Testament of Solomon. And he commands him, you're going to build for me marble in the temple. Now, do we understand the prophetic implications of marble? In every Catholic church, every single altar is made of marble. Now, I don't know anything about that, but I do know what marble comes from stone. Marble comes from millions and millions of years of rubbing together of stone, right? It's a very precious, expensive thing. Marble is an anomaly on the earth, a natural anomaly. So let's consider what that means. Well, what does stone mean? Okay. Okay. Stone, like in the marriage at Canaan in John 3, I believe, the water pots were made of stone. Stone represents long suffering. Like Jesus is our rock, the church is a rock. Long suffering, endurance, strength, all that kind of stuff. It stands the test of time. It stands trials and tribulations, all that kind of stuff. So that's what stone means. Now marble is like the ultimate stone. So when we endure this, the serpent raping Eve, so to speak, and all this kind of stuff, and it burns up the wood that makes up the temple of God into frankincense smoke, which is a sweet smelling morning aroma to God, aroma of morning, it eventually will turn into marble for the temple of God, the stone of all stones. Like super endurance, super long suffering, super, all that kind of stuff. I assume marble might be stronger than standard stone. So that's a really, really deep insight we could get into Malachi 2. Very amazing. Very amazing indeed. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, for those who have eyes to see. I didn't consider the Testament of Solomon to be so prophetically true, because this is really the only context that I've fully understood so far. So now I'm taking this text even more seriously. These aren't just haphazard stories. I condemn you. You make for me this. You make no. They all have prophetic symbologies, and I'm going to start looking for that now. Um, wow, wow. And I used to fall in this camp. I used to condemn this text. Oh, this is heresy out of ignorance years ago, and we are mistaken. This text does proclaim the coming of the Son of God in the flesh. So according to 1 John, our scriptures, this is not an Antichrist text. This is not a heretical text. So really amazing we can uncover that truth. So all right, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Very profound. Thanks for tuning in. I did want to do a video on the rapture, but I'm just going to kind of chill and spend time reading and stuff. So all right, guys. Yeah, bless you. Maybe I'll be on later. Thanks. Please keep our sister Chelsea Bedell in prayer. She's going through a hard time. So, of course, we lift her up, and it must be very difficult. So, all right. Yeah, bless you guys. Thank you for tuning in.